What's up, warriors, and welcome back to another video. Today, I've kind of got a couple of quick and dirty upper body finishes for you. I guess you could kind of group this one into almost a rotator cuff drop set. Really, it's just kind of a fun mix-up to your training, because sometimes training just does need to be fun. We need to keep ourselves interested, and there's nothing wrong with getting a bit of a pump and looking to build a little bit of hypertrophy and muscle and infrastructure, which will help to support lots of those future and higher level goals. So today I want to share with you two variations that we're going to be looking at. One is more focused around the delts and the rotator cuff, and then the second is more focused around the traps and the rhomboids. In both of these examples, we're going to be using a principle known as a mechanical advantage drop set. Either we're going to be using roughly the same weight or similar movements, and we're going to be performing basically the hardest mechanical exercise to performing drop sets by performing an exercise that requires either a little bit less leverage or a little bit less strength to perform. I'm not going to go into a massive explanation on this one. I'm just going to keep this short and sweet, and I would encourage you to maybe give it a go at the end of your next session and let me know how you get on with it. Leave a comment in the comment section down below, or if you have any other suggestions on how you maybe like to add some upper body finishes to your session. Let's jump into it. So option number one, we're going to be looking, as I said, at primarily the delts. We're going to be using for this one a Triset, a combination of three different movements, three well-established, well-effective exercises to target the delts. For this one, all you're going to need is a set of dumbbells, and really finding the weight is going to be the important part of this one. The first exercise we're going to be using is the lateral raise. Very nice basic exercise that hits the entire rotator cuff, and is also kind of a novel movement if we're thinking about the day-to-day stuff that we might get exposed to with bodyweight training. We're going to perform this one for 8 to 10 repetitions. Now, it should be hard for these 8 to 10 repetitions, potentially going to technical failure. So kind of taking it to the point in which maybe we don't get a form breakdown, but we're certainly pushing that limit. Then, keeping the same dumbbells, the same standing position, we're going to move to the next exercise, which is a front delt raise. Arguably more of a bodybuilding standard gym exercise, but when we think about potentially its application when it comes to things like the planche, then there could be some use in building up some more capacity in this front raise position. We're going to simply keep the same dumbbells, the same weight that we're using for that lateral raise, and we're going to perform a front raise basically until kind of roughly the point of failure. Again, we're going to go to technical failure, kind of the point where things start getting sloppy if you're performing more reps. Now, this is where you understand whether you get the right weight or not. Really here, we're going to be looking to add an additional 6 to 10 repetitions with this front raise on top of the already 8 to 10 repetitions of the lateral raise. If you didn't go heavy enough with the lateral raise, you're going to be able to perform loads of reps. And if you can only do like 3 or 4, then you've probably gone too heavy. So this is where a little bit of tweaking comes in. After we've done those reps, basically as many as we can, we're then going to move to the final exercise. We're going to chuck those dumbbells to one side. We're going to lie down, face down on the floor, and we're going to perform a prone military press. Now, this is essentially the same as performing an overhead pressing movement, but because we're lying down, the vector of gravity is acting down. We're going to have to actively use our external rotation to try and maintain our hand and lift off from the ground. The key with this one is really thinking about trying to keep hands high, elbows a little bit lower, and always lifting those arms as high as you can during this movement. We're simply going to rep this one, reaching out overhead as far as we can. Pause for a second, and then come back to that starting position. Much like the front raise, we're going to take this one basically to failure. We're going to do as many reps as possible. Again, I'd expect to see maybe another 6 to 10 repetitions. If you can do more than that, maybe it'd be worth holding some small weights here, but I'm meaning like maybe a kilo per hand. You should be feeling some pretty juicy pump in the delts, the lateral delt, front delt, and then also probably moving into the traps as well. So that's number one. Let me introduce to you number two, which is more focused on the traps and the rhomboids. For this one, again, we're going to want probably some dumbbells. Ideally, I prefer doing this one with dumbbells, but equally this one will actually be probably just as well performed using a band that is going to be anchored at about shoulder height. Again, we're going to use 3 movements kind of trisetted or kind of strung together, again, in exactly the same way as beforehand. First one we're going to use is a trap 3 raise, a really crucial exercise for developing the lower traps and then building up some strength and stability in that overhead position. It's also a good tool for developing flexibility in that overhead position. As I mentioned, dumbbells is my preferred choice here, either using a bench fixed to 45 or even pushing yourself to a 90-degree position if you're feeling extra brutal. With all of these movements that I'm going to introduce to you, it's important that we think about the articulation of the movement, which is first retracting the shoulder blades together, so pinning them back together, and then performing the raise of the hands. Just like the first one, we're going to perform 8 to 10 repetitions here. Again, pushing close to technical failure. Next up, we move to the second exercise. We're going to keep things all the same torso position, same angle, same everything, same dumbbells, and then we're going to do a rear delt raise. If we're looking at this in the lettering, we've got the I/Y, which is the trap 3 raise, and then now we've got the T raise, which is the rear delt raise. Again, same pattern applies. So we're going to pinch those shoulder blades back before lifting the arms at shoulder height. Choosing the right weight on the first exercise is crucial. We want 8 to 10 reps on the first, and about another 6 to 10 repetitions on this second movement. If you can do significantly less, lower the weight. If you can do significantly more, raise the weight. Again, take this one kind of to failure, kind of to technical failure. It should be hard before we move to the final exercise, which is the Athlete X favorite, the face pull. But this time we're going to be performing it with dumbbells. Exactly the same kind of movement applies. We want to think about pinching the shoulder blades back together. And then in this instance, we're going to be trying to pull the hands up as high as we can, either side of the face. The dumbbell should kind of want to brush the ears in this position. And then also think about, somebody's got some strings, pulling your elbows back as high as they can together. Same thing as beforehand. Perform this one to technical failure. I'd expect again to get another 6 to 10 repetitions out of it. Unlike the first drill where you can kind of push the weight a little bit, with this one you're probably going to want to use much less weight. Think maybe like literally 2, 3, 4 kilos for the entire thing. It's just the movements are a little bit more mechanically demanding. And that's basically the two kind of finishes that I would use. You can chuck them in very happily at the end of an upper body session, just for 1 to 2 sets, as a nice way of getting a little extra volume in the end in a very short period of time in kind of a nice wide array of movements for building up a little bit of that cuff capacity, specifically around the shoulders and the traps. As I said at the beginning of this video, it's just a fun one, something that I enjoy kind of adding in here and there, especially when I'm going for a little bit more of a hypertrophy focus. It's fun, and that's what training should be. If you are going to give this one a go, or again, you have any other suggestions, please leave a comment in the comment section down below. If you just enjoyed this video, you can hit that thumbs up button and support the channel. Right next to it is that subscribe button if you want to join the Bodyweight Warrior tribe. Don't miss out on any more future videos. But other than that, I'll catch you in the next episode. Have a strong week, and peace.